Robert Mueller's congressional testimony finally arrived, and all hell broke loose as soon as Mueller opened his mouth. That's because Robert Mueller looked into the cameras and made the startling confession. From the moment Robert Mueller began to testify, it became abundantly clear that Mueller was nothing more than a puppet for Barack Obama's deep state. Mueller's bewildered look, halting testimony where he could not remember basic facts, admittance to not knowing what was in his own report, and admission that he barely attended any witness interviews exposed the fact that the partisan Democrat lawyers were the ones running the show. At one point in his testimony, Republican Congressman Doug Collins of Georgia pressed Mueller on the fact that in Mueller's opening statement Mueller claimed they did not address the issue of collusion because collusion was not a legal term, but rather they focused on if there was a criminal conspiracy. Collins noted that on page 108 of the Mueller report it flat out states that in legal dictionaries collusion is synonymous with conspiracy. On page 180 of volume 1 of your report, you wrote, as defined in legal dictionaries, collusion is largely synonymous with conspiracy as that crime is set forth in the General Federal Conspiracy Statute, 18 U.S.C. 371. Are you sitting here today testifying something different than what your report states? Collins asked Mueller. Mueller, when confronted with the details of a report it was obvious he did not read, admitted that he stood behind the report's definition even though it contradicted his own testimony. Collins was the first Republican to question Mueller in his over 3-hour testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, and it only got worse for Mueller from there on out. At another point in his testimony, Mueller admitted he was not familiar with the firm Fusion GPS even though Fusion GPS was who Hillary Clinton paid to hire Christopher Steele to put together the bogus Russia dossier. No one could understand how Mueller could have overseen a 2-year investigation into supposed Russian meddling in the 2016 election and not know who Fusion GPS is unless Mueller was installed in the investigation as a figurehead. Mueller also had no answers as to why he never investigated the clear collusion between the Clinton campaign and the Russians but loaded up his report with innuendo and gossip about the Trump campaign in Russia. Mueller's appointment as special counsel created the illusion of bipartisanship surrounding the Russia probe, which was opened by die-hard Trump haters at the highest levels of the FBI. Because Mueller was a registered Republican with a record of being a nonpartisan straight shooter, every time Donald Trump cited the 17 angry Democrats working for Mueller as evidence the Russian investigation was a partisan attempt to undo the results of the 2016 election. The fake news would counter with the fact that Mueller was a Republican and he was in charge of the operation. That talking point evaporated under the haze of Mueller's confused and disorganized testimony. By the end of the testimony, even committed liberals like ABC reporter Terry Moran were forced to admit that impeachment was over.